Hello, welcome to Geeks Assembled. And today we are discussing an episode from season 3 of the BBC TV series Sherlock, starring Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch. So, without further ado, that's Brian how he says it, but we'll go to Kevin first and his opening thoughts on Sign of 3.
Well, this was the third season that I saw Sherlock, and the second episode is more funnier than the first one. The Sherlock as best man, and then talking about a murder in the middle of the wedding, like really. And of course, Sherlock gets to see some other girls in this episode, and even hooks up with one after after the episode. And the Sherlock episodes are always feature length episodes. They're always 1.5 hours, and I enjoy them to watch them straight through. John Watson, as always, very good in this performance. Martin Freeman, of course. Benedict Cumberbatch, and we know from Sherlock, of course, and Doctor Strange from now on, is doing a very good performance in this episode. So and I really like the story, so that's my opening thoughts.
Thanks for that, Kevin. We'll go to Beef Dad because he may have a few tales to tell us about Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I remember sitting and having a drink with his mother one night over a kitchen table at a party. I was trying to decide on a name for my son. And of course, Benedict Cumberbatch's real name, his middle name is Timothy. So we went with that. But Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, both absolutely brilliant actors. Well, people tend to concentrate on those two. Whereas I think the other mains in it, Mycroft, played by Mark Gatiss, is brilliant. He's incredibly analytical and pops up into Sherlock's head when he's trying to work things out, as if guiding his thoughts, guiding his questioning. They're brilliant. And of course, Mrs. Hudson, played by Eunice Stubbs. The woman has been around forever. I remember seeing her in Summer Holiday with Cliff Richard, at the very beginning of her career, and she's done many other wonderful parts. She worked very closely with John Pertwee, and yes, the whole cast is good. Rupert Graves as Lestrade. I mean, he does it so well. And I love the little tiny cameo of Irene Adler, who is basically Sherlock's, well, it's his love interest in the original books. Irene Adler is the big love interest, but she's also as crooked as the day is long. But you just see her momentarily. He imagines her there. I love it. I love the way his mind works. I love the eccentricity they've given him. I mean, he's a pretty eccentric character anyway in the original books. And they just modernized him. But the thing is, they've modernized him so cleverly. And it's just a joy to watch. I mean, the man is a sociopath, and he admits to it. That's what I love about it. He's a sociopath, and he admits to it. He doesn't like other people. He can't handle other people. So nightmare scenario for him is being best man at a wedding and having to give a speech. And he's just hysterical. Yeah, so yeah, I absolutely love this.
Thanks for that, Beef Dad. We'll move over to Brian. What did you think of the Sign of Three?
Let's see. What did I think of the episode? Good. I absolutely enjoyed that. I absolutely enjoyed this episode. In fact, I pretty much love all the Sherlock episodes because I've seen all of them and everything. Every single episode with every season 1 through 4, including the Christmas special, every single one, and I absolutely enjoyed every one. This episode is pretty funny because you honestly wouldn't really imagine seeing Sherlock Holmes as a best man within any Sherlock Holmes throughout history, and Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes as a best man is just absolutely funny, and I was mostly cracking up half the time watching the episode. In fact, seeing that this series, mostly the only Sherlock Holmes I've ever seen other than the Robert Downey Jr.'s version. So seeing this as the only Sherlock, mostly just the only thing I could go on, really. And I just, to me, Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock and Watson, to me, they are Sherlock and Watson. So yeah, and so yeah, I honestly enjoyed this film. Well, wait, sorry, episode rather. Sorry.
Well, it's really is like a movie, isn't it? It's 90 minutes long. You can call it a feature-length movie, really.
Well, even but episodes. But yeah, either way, whether you call it film, episode, whatever, it is a good one, and I enjoy it. I would give it 2 thumbs up from me. And the only thing I like the most is for this modernized version of Sherlock. Whenever he's trying to figure out working out stuff, like they have whenever he's like on his phone or something, or trying to figure out something he said, they like have words going across the screen and everything. That is what I really most enjoy within this series. Just that little detail and experience of this Sherlock, I just absolutely enjoy. So,
Cool. Well, that little thing, what they did though, is looking around and checking things in really quickly. Stephen Moffat sort of tried to introduce that into Doctor Who with Matt Smith for the 11th Hour. About 6 months earlier in the same year, he produced the best of Sherlock, but he never put it in Doctor Who again after that episode for some reason. Yeah, and some homework for you, Brian. Check out Paul Rathbone, Jeremy Brett, Peter Cushing, and Tom Baker as Sherlock Holmes. If you look online or wherever,
Peter Cushing and Tom Baker were Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, Peter Cushing played Sherlock Holmes in the 1960s, I think it was, and Tom Baker played him in the 1980s. One-off.
Crap. I didn't even know that.
But check them out because they're all different. They're all different performances.
What are they? Movies?
Rathbone was movie, Cushing was movie, Tom Baker was TV.
Interesting.
Just check it out. Yeah, a little bit of all that for you there. Let's move on to Susan and Alex. The Sign of Free. What say thee?
Yeah, this series of this whole series of Sherlock Holmes is really, really fun for me. I enjoy the fast pace. I enjoy his mind palace, the thought processes that go into his deductions. I like how you're part of that thought process being like inside of his own head, which is really cool. Because generally you don't see what other people are thinking or whatever. So it just makes a big difference, and so I like that, and I enjoyed the wedding scenes. For obvious reasons. Anyway, yeah. So I like the whole thing with like the with the mysteries, and I like the little kid who's the one little sort of sparkly moment was when Sherlock was baiting or bribing the kid to do a good job as the ring bearer, and by showing him pictures of beheadings and other things. I mean, like this is a kid who's going to turn out just like a little protege anyway. So it's fun, and I enjoyed the whole thing. I really love Martin Freeman and Amanda Abington, and those guys are great. And the fact that they're married in real life and actually can bring their sort of romance and their love to the screen is fun. And even as other characters, it's really fun. And yeah. And I am so amazed that I it's really cool, Beef Dad, that you hung out with Benedict's parents and were there when you were naming Beefhead. So hooray! I mean, that's really cool. Anyway, here you are, Alex.
Okay, I guess it's descent day for me. I don't really like Benedict Cumberbatch, and I don't like this new version of Sherlock. I'd
How
rather
dare
I'd rather like the other versions, like Lee said, and of course there was the Robert Downey Jr. version, which I barely liked, and there was also the new version with Johnny Lee Miller on CBS, where Lucy Liu is Watson. Um, I understand that they want to try to do new versions, but I prefer an older version. I prefer a version where it's not so much a cell phone and all that. And I don't want to see his thought process because that's why he's talking. And that's why Watson is talking, so you can figure it out. As far as the episode, yeah, it's a likable episode, I suppose. There's only a few that I actually like of this new version. And of course, as Lee said, they did it with Matt Smith's Doctor Who, and it's the same producer. And then he was also, Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, was also Sherlock Holmes in the Christmas special as well for about 10 minutes. And it's not very enjoyable because it doesn't fit. In terms of the monologue at the wedding, that part is pretty good. And the supporting cast is good. But I just don't like the modern version. I'd actually rather see Elementary, or I'd rather see the 80s version with Jeremy Brett and his two versions of Watson. And I do watch Sherlock because it's British, but I don't really like it. I think it's too showy. I think it's too flashy. As far as Beef Dad, of course, we all know that he's a gentleman and a scholar, and that's great that he got to hang out with what's her name, Vonda Venham. How's it pronounced?
Wanda Ventum.
Right, and she was also in two classic stories of the classic Doctor Who before it got revamped. So, I wonder if she talked about that at all. But that's great that, Beef Dad was getting to meet her and hung out with her. And of course, I know Beefhead as well. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the modern Sherlock. I understand that he can be a good actor, this Cumberbatch, but I'm not a huge fan, and I didn't like it. Slightly off topic when he was the new version of Khan. So, I'd rather watch Martin Freeman. I'd rather watch the supporting cast if I'm going to watch it. I actually enjoy them better. I have a question. Is Sherlock Holmes a sociopath? Because I didn't really think he was. And also in the books, which I read about, 20 or 30 stories, I didn't really think he was a sociopath. Plus, in the 80s version, it was more true to form that he abused opium and cocaine and heroin and stuff like that. That's also because the author did it as well. But I thought it was more that he was emotionally detached, a little too intellectual, so there would be a difference in terms of how he relates to people. But I think a sociopath, I think that's a little too harsh.
He was autistic even.
Well, like I said, again, we're putting a modern spin on a very old character. So I don't know if that really applies. But
Well, thanks for that. As well, as of today, I was a Sherlock virgin. I've never watched an episode of the show until today, when I sat down and watched The Sound of Three. I'm assuming this episode was a bit more comedy laden than others. That's it was picked at random as well, but I enjoyed it. But I also agree with Alice. Give me the old Jeremy Brett or the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes, because that's what I grew up on, shall we say. But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy this. It's a different take. It's got a different twist on a classic tale, because as far as I know, they're all based on Conan Doyle's stories. Sound of Three, Sound of Four, and all like that. Yeah, I did like, and I did enjoy when he was being a sort of a sociopath with the friend of the bride, where he was telling him not to go anywhere near her and don't reply to her tweets and stuff like that. And when he was at the wedding, he didn't even kiss the bride. Yeah, he showed you a bit. He is a bit crazy. Yeah, I'm not too keen on all the flashy words on the screen and stuff like that. But he does play him well. Mike Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch does play the parts well. I did look up something today, and I didn't add in this, but apparently Matt Freeman wasn't the first person who was up for the role, who auditioned for the role. Matt Smith auditioned for Dr. Watson first, and Moffat didn't give him it because he was too crazy. He gave him Doctor Who instead. He wanted somebody a bit more grounded and more sensible to play Doctor Watson. Apparently. So it's amazing what you can find on Google. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I mostly will now, seeing this episode, dip into the series. I mean, I don't know. Do you have to watch them in order, or can you just dip into it any order you want?
I would. I mean, I would. I mean, with each season leading up to like the final showdown of each finale, they mention like previous episodes here and there. So I
this episode seemed like it was just a separate episode on its own. There was nothing.
Oh yeah, definitely. You don't have to worry about missing anything. But I would watch like episode by episode if you were to start.
Yeah, well, so I almost will when I get time because I've got a hell of a lot to watch. Dipping in every now and again. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's the acting to me. What does it for me? Is it the writing or is it the acting? What would you say? Is it the acting or is it the performances? What shine through? What do you think, guys? I'm opening the floor here.
I would say both.
Both.
I think it's the. I think in terms of my take on it is that the writing was done by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and so I mean there isn't a lot you can say besides that. So it's got to be the performances, right?
So the performances shine through.
Yeah, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor, Alex. Yes.
Everybody,
Oh,
everybody's entitled to their own opinion, Susan.
okay.
We don't force our opinions on other people.
Okay.
Just respect other people's opinions.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, so any gripes, dislikes? We know Alex didn't like it, but anybody else? Anything what was wrong with it or what was good about it?
No, not really. So,
Kevin?
Performances, that's all there. That's the breakthrough, really.
but,
It's I mean, I've never seen Cumberbatch play Sherlock before. He does sound like Alan Rickman a lot, doesn't he?
what?
He does sound like Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
He does. You close your eyes and just listen. Beef Dad, any more on anything you'd like to say?
Well, having lived through all the versions of Sherlock, and as a rule, they tend to be lifted straight from the book. I don't think there's anything wrong with a reimagining for the modern day. I mean, I love Jeremy Brett. He was absolutely superb. And Peter Cushing, he did Hounds of the Baskervilles for Hammer. And yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a reimagining for a modern age of something as classic as Sherlock Holmes. Nothing wrong with it at all. And yeah, I mean, he is a sociopath. I mean, one of the definitions of a sociopath is lack of remorse or shame, which is fine. Manipulative behavior, which he always showed, even in the books. Unchecked egocentricity. It was all about him. Totally egocentric. And yeah, it is. That's part of the definition of a sociopath, which is not the same as a psychopath. A sociopath tends to be more emotional, whereas a psychopath tends to be cold, calculating. So they've made him into a sociopath, and it works. It works perfectly for me. I've seen all of the thus far made Sherlocks, and I thoroughly enjoy them.
I agree with you there, Beef Dad. It's fun to modernise, the Sherlock Holmes legend.
Now, I'm sorry. Did you see?
Yeah,
Sorry, Beef Dad. Did you see the version with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu?
I must confess, I have not seen, but it's American.
Yeah. But
So, yeah.
as I said, I think it's fun to modernise stuff like this, as long as you keep the characters from the original books, like Mrs. Hudson and Lestrade, stuff like that. Just and you still, and they're not moving into a penthouse. They are in the 221B Baker Street still. They're he still plays the violin, so it's the same character. It's updated for the modern day. And I've got to agree with Beef with what he said. Una Stubbs. That's the first time I've seen her play Mrs. Hudson, and she sounds like her husband was a right one. But it's just a very, very Holmes just told her to shut up and go get the biscuits. But yeah, it's I'm gonna look more into this series. Anybody got anything else to say?
No, not really.
No.
If you like this episode, Lee, wait until you see either episode 1 or 2 of season 4, because that one of those episodes is like absolutely wow.
I mean, I don't know why I've never watched them before, because I've mostly been doing something else when they've been on, and
Probably.
and these casts always take up people's times, and we've got things to do during the week. So, but when I get back, I may have to buy a box set and binge watch at some point.
Or maybe you just didn't want to watch it because of Moffat.
You can binge watch it on Netflix.
I don't have Netflix, but I don't Moffat bash Ryan. He's going.
I'm just kidding.
He's going now. But you can't bash someone like Moffat. I mean, he has got his reputation of being a good writer outweighs bad writing, shall we say. So, anything else from anybody?
Well,
Nope.
Well, on that, we'll see what he does with Dracula coming up. But yeah, I have seen the other version, and it is Americanized, but Johnny Lee Miller is English. And it is slightly more old-fashioned in the way that he plays it, but it is still modern. That one is in New York. It's called Elementary, and Lucy Liu is Watson. And there has been episodes where she confronts Sherlock saying, "You're doing this on purpose," or "You're manipulating me," and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's to keep in with the books, or if that's the modern, viewpoint that he's considered definitely sociopathic. I disagree with that, but that I can see why some people would definitely say that. But as I said, I've seen other stories, and it's not bad. I just don't like the jump cuts and the words on the screen and all that. But eventually, even I realize that they're probably going to have to modernize the characters. I mean, you don't want to keep it in the 1800s with Robin Hood and Sherlock Holmes and other characters to keep them stuck in one decade. But I don't always agree with how they present it or film it. But I can understand that they want to change it and update it. I may not like it myself, but that's fine.
They did do an
You've just given the BBC an idea of modernising Robin Hood now.
Oh yeah, they're really watching our casts.
Oh, apparently people do, according to other casts.
Oh.
Well, they did it. They did do a like an old-fashioned timey Sherlock episode, which was the Christmas special. So,
well, I've come to realise after watching this, I may be a sociopath. So,
oh dear.
Oh my God! Stay away, Lee!
Not a psychopath.
That's why he always got a Superman t-shirt on.
So if nobody else has got anything to say, and that bombshell will do his scoring and your final thoughts. So, Kevin, my friend, I can't be a sociopath because I'm calling people friend. So, what's your last thought on this? And give it a score.
I really love this episode, so I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Thanks for that. Brian.
Me? All right.
Yes, you.
All right. So I would give my rating of this Sherlock episode maybe 8 out of 10 for this
Yeah,
episode.
Okay, brilliant. Alex and Susan.
Oh, Crash! I'll give you this a 9 out of 10. I really liked this particular episode for a lot of reasons, and yeah, so a 9 out of 10 for me.
I will give it an 8.5 just because of the performances of the cast, and I have to admit that Cumberbatch talking for about probably 40 minutes, maybe even more, especially when he gets to the wedding, was particularly difficult, and he managed to keep it entertaining. He did manage to not have it necessarily drag, even though I do agree with Lee in some respects. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. They kept it modern. They kept it somewhat charming. But I like other episodes better, and I like other versions better.
And we'll move over to Germany.
I like this. If you've read the original books, you must have seen from the original books that Sherlock always manipulated Watson. So the thing is, they haven't changed any of that, really. It's just a modern uptake. It's brilliantly done. It's brilliantly acted. To be perfectly honest, the moment Una Stubbs went into hysterics and she just couldn't stop laughing was so infectious. I found myself chuckling like a madman. Yeah, so for me, it gets a 9.5.
Brilliant. Just what got me enthralled was Sherlock's speech, because I was just sat there wondering where the hell he was going with it. It was really well done, the speech. So, and as for me, for being a first-time Sherlock watcher on this episode, I enjoyed it. I'll watch some more, but since it's my first go, I'm going to give it an 8.5 because I'll take it from you. There's possibly better episodes out there as well. So 8.5 from me. So without further ado, thanks for watching. Thanks for you guys being here. We're on Twitter. Give us a tweet. Follow on Tumblr. We've got a public Facebook group. Join us there. And for that, we'll say good night.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
It's elementary, dear Watson.